How the church hid the documents they should have published. Well, the evangelicals and Catholics, they came up within time, and they hid the documents that they should have published and that were published beforehand. In the 1st, 2nd, 3rd century, and 4th century. Yeah, especially still in the 3rd century. There were many documents that were handed over to all these people that came afterwards, after, this religion started 2000 years ago. And there were many more documents as you today read. And then in the 4th century, the Catholic Church came up and they forbid half of the documents that were published to that time, approximately. And it was not allowed to owe these documents anymore. And if you copied them, you got death penalty and the worst penalties. And it was even stated which writings were allowed and which were not allowed. And you can even read that these were not allowed, that their writings were not allowed. And of course, many things were not allowed, not just the main good things to hide it. But this is what they have done. And then 1000 years later, it was still not allowed, but in the 16th century, at the time of the Reformation, and at the end of the 15th century, where all these things started, evangelicalism came up, and or was it only at the beginning of the 16th century? Whenever it came up, 15 something, and there evangelicals published even only a portion or a big portion of what the Catholics always allowed, and evangelicals went even a little bit further and did not allow even some, or did not consider so much some writings that were passed down until then. So in the end, you remained with 66 books that evangelicals say they are the documents that should be handed down. And they said definitively, this was now everything, and we have given you everything, and this has been the tradition that was kept now for 1500 years, and we are continuing it. Well, this is a blatant lie. If you look at history, if you look at the times prior Catholicism, you can read. Where can you read it? There are writings, there are volumes, so many volumes of the writings of the religious people of that day that you cannot read them all. There's so many. They were collected even by centuries. All the religious writings of that century, 1st century, 2nd century. Bibliothek der Kirchenväter is one site that states volumes after volumes. Online, in German and in English, and was translated. They have it in different languages. And BKV in German, it's called. You have volumes after volumes. I don't know how many volumes there are. Maybe 160 big, large books. I don't know. Were collected over decades and decades, maybe even over more than a century. I don't know. And you can search these things and you can look at what they have read, then they did not have 66 books, and they did not have the books that the Catholic Church now have. They had much more books. And if you look at the scrolls that were found at the Dead Sea, they were preserved in these writings, they were preserved in a way that they lasted for a long time. And if they don't talk about that, but if you look at it, you can find what was in there, and it's the same as in the first centuries. There are so many more documents that were held and collected than what the Catholics and evangelicals do admit. So why did the evangelicals and Catholics hid something? This is the question. Well, it is not difficult to find out. They hid everything that was negative to them. They hid the things that were never negative to them. What was negative to them? Well, I mean, if you're mentioned in a document, in a negative way, you don't want to have this document circulating in your country if you are the ruler of that country. That's why they hid these things. Just wanted to say these things. Maybe someone would step out of the Catholic and Protestant Church. They've lied to you all the time. They've lied to you all the time about what was handed over to you. Look at your history. I mean, there is lies over lies. Should I explain some lies? Well, for example, if it was so obvious that these 66 books were always had by the true people, as Martin Luther and these people claimed. Why did the reformers fight about which book to include and which not? They talked about including this book, including that book, including this document, including that document. Read your history. You will find that. It was all just a lie. It was all just a lie. And even the Catholic Church, they changed the number of their books all the time. And when the Protestants took something away, well, it has been said they also then took something away. They had something before in their collection that after the Reformation they did not have anymore. And it also changed over time. And they always say it was always the same. But if you then look at documents of that time, you see it was not the same. The same as with Jewish writings. The Jewish writings, they came up until, I don't know, they stopped collecting it 2,200 years ago. Why did they stop there? Because the writings that came afterwards were stating things that was contrary to them, was contrary to what they want to hear. And so they stopped collecting it. But it was always going on. It was always going on. It did not stop 2,200 years ago and then started again 2,000 years ago. No. The time in between, or 2,400 years ago, and then it stopped, they would say, and then 2,000 years ago it started again. No, the time in between, the 200, 300, or 400 years, however you take it. This time also. They intentionally skipped things they did not want to hear. And the others who wanted to hear it, they collected it also. And afterwards, in the first century, second century, also they circulated these things. And then the Catholic Church, at some time decided, well, we also take that a little bit, And today everything is just vague, explained in a vague way, so that no one knows what really happened, all the details. Although they do know it exactly and clearly, and if you look it up, you can know it exactly and clearly. But just to state that was all just forged, all just a lie, the history changed, agreed upon globally on some story, narrative, as it is done so often in so many things. Then everyone believes it because everyone agrees on a narrative that is explained and intentionally in the wrong way, and those who contradict it are silenced. That's what they're doing with me. No one is stating publicly that I'm not allowed to say these things, do these things, publish these things, because then it would be interesting for everyone. They always invent other things to get away with me, to do away with me. No one helps me, and you're all guilty in doing that. Stop it. Get out of the Catholic and Protestant Church, because then the deep state has no foundation anymore. Israel cannot use the Pope and evangelicalism anymore as an instrument for power, and everyone is left off with just his main words and mere words, and with the people that are with him. And if you don't follow the evil people, no one has the power to reign in an evil way. It would be done away in a day if you want to. Most things, many things, the most important things. The only reason why evil people can rule is because some people follow the evil people. If no one follows them, they cannot do any evil thing. That's why I'm stating these things, to bring it all down. Bring down the Catholic and Protestant Church with all the rulership in the whole world. Nobody listens to me, I don't know. What should I do? Share it with everyone. Tell these things, everyone. Share everything out of these videos everywhere with everyone. I don't care. You have to. It just matters that these things are told somewhere. I'm stating it not clearly already, so it can be published on the worst social media sites. I don't care. I'm not stating things clearly. Nothing will be dragged into the dirt with posting, reposting it, again posting somewhere. I'm not here for money, I'm not here for clicks. You don't take away anything from me. You don't have to direct people to my channel. Download it somewhere. Film it from the screen. Show it to everyone. Send it to everyone. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Whatever is allowed everywhere by their rules. From me, you have every permission. From my side, you have every permission. Tell these things, everyone. Tell these things, everyone. You have been lied to. But the handing down of the documents by the church